Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book that's come to us from Elgar Publishing. It's a family firm of publishers. They always produce very high quality research publications, generally speaking, and this one is particularly interesting because it's in an area of law which hitherto we haven't looked at much, bearing in mind all the other interesting environmental law issues that crop up from time to time. The book we're looking at is called Renewable Energy Law in the European Union. It's got a subtitle, Legal Perspectives on Bottom-Up Approaches, and it's been edited by Marjan, Peeters and Thomas Schomerus. Now, Elizabeth and I have looked at this book. We had a chat about it and tried to work out what we thought about it. We put the reviews on the web and in the journals. We've given it the title Renewable Energy and the Role of Local Governments Throughout the European Union, in other words, member states. The first detailed examination of the legal issues, and then that's exactly what this book is, because we haven't really looked at renewable energy in any strong way legally in the past. So that's why I'm welcoming this book. It's part of the New Horizons in Environmental and Energy Law. There's the front of it there. Spine, and then you've got the back. There's quite a lot of information there. But renewable energy is going to be very much to the forefront this century, and I'm certain that with what we've got here, this is the start of something that's going to continue. That's the index at the back. What we're looking at is to see, how far we can go really with renewable energy in terms of legal frameworks, because again, that is an important area. Now, can I just say, for the end of each chapter, you've got references which are quite useful. There's no bibliography, but you do have references. You do have footnotes as well, which are quite helpful. There is paragraph numbering, so you should be able to find things reasonably quickly. If I go to the front of the book, this is the New Horizons series, which is there from Edward Elgar, and there is the front page itself. Then you've got parts 1, 2 and 3 listed there, and then parts 4 and 5, and then the list of contributors. Short biographies, very short, but there have been a lot of people involved. Then you've also got abbreviations, which there are a lot, and very helpful because it's easy, very easy to forget what an abbreviation actually is sometimes. And then you can go there and then, of course it means that. Sometimes I can get confused just like everybody else, so it's useful to get it absolutely right. And this is how the book is structured. Chapter 1, then you've got the titles, you've got a bit of footnoting about who the authors are, then you get the structure of the book itself. Always worth reading, so you get some idea of what they've got in the book, how the book's set out in the various parts and so on, the energy approaches. A word of thanks at the end. So really this is an introduction or preface or whatever you want to call it. Then there's a little bit of referencing it there. And then you go straight into the next chapter, which is the perspective. Now, I've been very impressed with this book, as I am always with Edward Elgar books. They are of a very high quality. Always been very impressed with them. Now, as I say, we've given it this title, Renewable Energy and the Role of Local Governments Throughout the European Union, that is the member states, the first detailed examination of legal issues, and this is what we say. In the gradual and predictably difficult transition to renewable energy across Europe, what are the legal issues confronting regional authorities within the European Union? Will it be possible for every EU member state to move to renewable energy within the timeframes required under EU law? Good question. And what will be the required role of local authorities, i.e. the local or regional governments, in this incredibly complex process? Because whilst we're talking about renewable energy, we're also looking at the whole area of environmental law, because this is a big part of it, and it's one I'm sure that will be growing when we look at climate change and all the other issues, which are here basically to stay, and we've got to start trying to work out what we're going to do. It's not for me, it'll be for generations in the future, but there has to be a framework and there has to be an approach. This is one way of looking at how we might go about it. For obvious reasons concerning cultural diversity, arriving at basically a useful and workable set of answers to these questions concerning the European Union is not going to be an easy task. So I think the editors and the contributors have taken on a pretty big role here, and we'll see how they develop it. The book tackles these issues, of course, head on, and I'm grateful that they do that. A compilation of expert research from 15 international contributors focuses on the legal frameworks within which regional authorities in European Union member states must act in the course of the necessary transition towards a sustainable renewable energy system. Now that of course is going to be a fundamental long-term aim, of course, and that's one of the reasons why I think this book has a lot of merit to it, because it's the first time we're now starting to look seriously at what we're going to be doing towards the middle of this century. Long past my time, but at least we've started talking now about where we might be going. The transition referred to must inevitably therefore evolve within the framework of European Union law, which has imposed legally binding targets on its member states through Directive 2009/28, which we may all be hearing a great deal more about in the not too distant future. In explaining this directive in detail, the book lists the various target dates it has imposed for implementing the successive necessary stages toward establishing renewable energy programs throughout the EU, with some EU countries keen and others reluctant to achieve the required renewable energy goals. This is again no easy task, all of which points up the importance of this book, recently published by Edward Elgar as part of their series entitled New Horizons in Environmental and Energy Law. It's apparently the first book to map legal questions around renewable energy from the perspective of local governments. The diverse body of research that has been led here by its able editors are both experts in the field. Marjan Peeters is a professor of environmental policy and law at Maastricht University, and Schomerus is a professor of energy and environmental law at Lepfania University, Lüneburg, Germany. The research is detailed and extensively footnoted throughout, so you have a wealth of references to other sources of information and comment. And to help you navigate, there's a detailed index at the back which I showed you. Let me conclude by saying this is a timely contribution, as I've sort of been the thread throughout this review, to what is a body of literature on renewable energy and the role and responsibilities of the local and regional government authorities, which must, like it or not, eventually implement it across the whole of the European Union. Environmental lawyers as well as decision makers in local government throughout the EU will definitely need to acquire this book, because I think this is the forerunner of a lot more information we're going to be getting, bearing in mind the directive and all the things that could well be happening in the next few years. We've got a crunch decision on the 7th of May 2015 here. I'm recording this in the end of March 2015. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's quite clear that this subject matter is going to be of great significance as we move towards the middle of the decade. The publication date is cited at 2014. To show you the book again, there's the front, there's the back, just opening it in the middle. One national wind power objective. There we go, you've got a standard structuring. Can you see how controversial some of this stuff is even now? There's the footnoting there. You've got paragraph numbering as well, which does help. Some of it is much more detailed, some of it is more general in its nature, but the content is quite heavy, some of the content. I mean, the references, you can see here how much detail has gone into this. The referencing has been very good, but people are treating this subject seriously, and I think this is a great first step towards a very important area of renewable energy law. So thank you to all the contributors, to Edward Elgar as well for taking the courage and the trouble to produce this, because it's certainly one of many future titles we will need in this area. And good luck with all your endeavours. Thank you. Bye-bye.